here we are. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is, I believe, the second day of September. How did we get to September? I will never know because it's sped past so fast. And so much has happened this month. So many things have happened. Some things that have happened are not so good. Some things that happened are brilliant. So anyway, before we begin, let me first say good morning to my spirit guide, Gregor, who is standing, as always, to my right side. And let me say good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
And then before we go any further, I just would like to give a shout out to everybody who has suffered in the storm that happened yesterday, last night, and in fact through the night. In and around New York City. My heart goes out to all of you, and our prayers, of course, go out to everybody. And I'm going to ask everybody on the show today, everybody who's here, and I will remind us all later as well. We're going to be doing a Healing Hands Around the World, a Healing Minute. And if you could join us to send healing to all of those people who are suffering so badly, and to all of those people who were affected adversely by the storm. For those of you who are wondering, you know that I'm in New York City. We were really not too affected. The garden was a little bit affected and beaten down, bashed down. A lot of the plants were sort of beaten down a little bit, but we actually did not get hit like they did in so many other parts of New York, not just New York City, but New York State. Just a heads up for all of you that we're sending healing, even as I'm speaking to you, we're sending healing to all of those who were affected by that. Also, we do understand that there are tornadoes around in different parts of the country as well. So, our healing minute is really very important, because our healing minute really basically is healing that goes out to anybody and everybody who might need it. Regardless of circumstances, regardless of the place they're in, anywhere in this world or even in the next world, we send healing. And healing, collective thoughts and collective healing thoughts, collective healing prayers make a huge difference. A friend of mine, lovely friend of mine, actually texted me a couple of days ago to say, Rosemary, do prayers work? Do you really believe that prayers work? And I absolutely do believe that prayers work. But collective prayer, collective thought is, I think, so powerful, can be so very, very powerful. So that's what we're attempting to do. So let me explain the healing minute before we go any further. The healing minute is that 1 minute in your day, wherever in the world you are, please don't tell me that you cannot spare 1 minute, because I know you all can. And I know that so many of you are more than willing to spare even more than 1 minute. But what we do is we join our thoughts, we join hands, we join thoughts, we join our collective energy. Wherever in the world you are, at 11 a.m., wherever in the world you are, you don't have to work out what time it is for me or what time it is for you in your part of the world compared to my part of the world. So at 11 a.m. every morning, all we're asking for you is to send out your healing thoughts and your healing prayers. Ask God for his healing to go out into the world, to go out into the universe, and to reach all of those that God feels need that healing energy. If you have a particular person or a particular situation, as we do at the moment in New York, if you have that particular person or situation, then you think of them and send healing to them as well. And all it is thought. Our thoughts are the most powerful, tiny little pulses of energy that go out into the universe and collect other like-minded, like energy pulses. So all of our collective thoughts, our healing thoughts, gather together and create a force that really, really does work, can work, and I've seen it happen so many times. So 11 a.m., wherever you are in the world, take just 1 minute. Honestly, that's all it takes. Dear God, please allow me to be part of the healing process. Allow me to be a part of the group that is joining together healing hands around the world, allow my thoughts and my energy to combine with that God force that is out there. That's all you need to say. And then at the end, always, and please remember this, dear God, I will do thy will. In other words, we're sending healing, we're sending our collective thoughts, but we don't quite know, because we're not God, are we? We don't quite know where they should go, how they should go, what we should do with them. So we send them out to God and we send them out to the universe. And God takes that energy and uses that energy. That God force grows and grows because that God force is pure white light, pure energy. So all we're doing is we're combining our energy with the energy of that God force that is out there. But I prefer that God knows what to do with my energy because he knows better than I do. So always remember when you're giving healing, all you out there who are healers, dear God, I will to thy will. It's one very important part of the prayer that you must always remember and respect. All right, Chris, how's the weather there?
Just overcast, Rosemary.
Well, believe it or not, in New York City, where I am at least, and I'm not far from, I am in Manhattan, I'm right in the middle of the city, the sun is shining. It's a glorious day today. It's going to be a glorious day today. It's going to be a glorious day apparently on Friday and also on Saturday. So we're in for a really nice weekend. And of course it is the holiday weekend. Chris, I'm going to let you as the American in this group tell us what is America's holiday this weekend.
Labor Day weekend for
And what does that mean?
anyone who out there who labors. It's about the workforce. It's about, celebrating how when we all do the things that we're good at, how everyone benefits. But I think it also ends up, big time connections with the unions, the American labor movement. So I think we all put into it what we feel it applies to.
Well,
Some
I do know that it sort of, in some ways, signals the end of summer. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, the holiday itself doesn't. It's all about, safety, protection, unionization of workers, protecting the worker kind of thing. But yes, it falls at the end of the summer, and it's kind of a switch from, if you're talking about weather, summer weather to fall weather. I know we got into the 50s last night, so it's got all kinds of meanings. And some people are just like, hey, it's a day off and I don't have to go to work, so there's my reward. So you just don't know.
I think for a lot of people it's a time of celebrating the end of summer. Maybe it's the last barbecue, maybe it's the last picnic, maybe it's the last time they're going to the beach, because they can have a day off work or a weekend off work, and also because the weather hopefully is still summer weather. I'm looking forward to an Indian summer this year. Do you know what an Indian summer is, Chris?
I do.
So for those of you who are wondering, what is an Indian summer? What do we call an Indian summer? We call the Indian summer an Indian summer, that late summer, that September, and it may be even into October, where all of a sudden the weather that we've been craving all summer, because I have to say it's been a very wet summer here in New York, certainly. The weather we've been craving, we might just get some of that in September and October. So an Indian summer for us is a late summer. And certainly in England, when I was a kid, just reminds me, when I was a kid, my mother always took us on our holidays, on our vacations. She always took us for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks in September. Now, most people take their kids on vacation during the school holidays. And at the end of August, we were in England, certainly. We were all back at school by the 1st of September. And that was when my mother chose to go on vacation because, first of all, most people were home. So we weren't fighting the crowds. We weren't fighting the hordes. It actually, I only can remember throughout my entire childhood, and we went away every year, I can only remember having one wet vacation. First 2 weeks of September always worked for us because it was always that sort of that Indian summer, that late summer where the sun shone, and it was. We usually went to the beaches. Sometimes we went to Cornwall. Very often we went to Ireland, but we always went where the beaches were. And we, except for one time, we only ever once that I can recall had a wet, rainy vacation time. So I always look forward to those Indian summers. Right, Chris, how are we doing? Do we have anybody? I think we do, don't we? Is there anybody there?
We have plenty, Rosemary, and the questions and comments are in the chat room.
Okay.
Mary says, I definitely felt the presence of my dad and guardian with my sister, children, and niece and nephew on the road yesterday because we were in the car dodging tornadoes. We were completely blessed.
Well, thank you for sharing that one, Mary. And you obviously survived the tornadoes because you're here today to talk to us. That's great. Isn't that great? I don't know how many of you received the newsletter that we sent out. You should have received it today, right, Chris? This morning?
Sometime during the evening, early morning hours, yes.
Okay, so on the 1st of September, our newsletter went out. We always send out our newsletter in the early part of the month, usually the 1st or 2nd. Chris tries to get it out on the 1st, and she managed that. And in the newsletter, it just so happened that on the 30th, which was the day before the newsletter went out, I had a fantastic, a remarkable, an amazing experience for me. Now, you might read it and you might not think it's so amazing, but for me it was absolutely an amazing thing because my daughter and my grandson, their puppy Piper, she passed not quite 2 years ago. And Reese always likes to celebrate her birthday and he always likes to do something special. And it happened that her birthday was on the 30th. I'm not going to tell you the amazing thing that happened. If you are subscribed, you will have gotten this newsletter. And if you haven't subscribed, you better get to it. so excuse me. So we planned the birthday. Reese made a huge poster which said "Happy Birthday, Piper." We planned a birthday party for her, and so before the first thing in the morning, before the party started, really, we'd had breakfast, and I said to Reese, "Why don't you do your piano practice early this morning, and then you can get it over and done with, and then we can focus on the party." And he sat down to play the piano. Oh, and and this is where you really want to read the rest of the story, which we may share with you on Facebook. Chris, what do you think?
Well, hopefully it'll show up on Medium as an article, but people who have subscribed to your newsletter will get it. And I haven't checked yet. We ask it to go out on Twitter and one of your Facebook pages when it posts to the newsletter, but I haven't checked today to see if it made it or not.
Anyway, we shall, you're going to have to search for it, everybody, because it is an amazing and remarkable story. All right, so why am I telling that? Why am I saying that? Maybe I'm talking about sharing. So, and that's my little bit of sharing, and we may or may not, it may be a story time perhaps for one Saturday morning. You just never know. Anyway, all right, well, thank you, Mary, for that. Chris?
Cheryl's asking, I haven't done much of anything, but I'm so tired. What makes energy levels fall so fast?
Oh, lots of different things. First of all, your energy level can sink if you're not feeling very well, or if you're allowing yourself, if you get depressed and you're allowing yourself to sink into depression. There are lots of things that cause a loss of energy or lack of energy. However, Cheryl, if you would like to go to YouTube, or if you'd like to go and check out Healing Hands Around the World, there are lots of videos there that tell you how to replenish your energy, how to give healing to yourself. There's lots of instruction that I give you. There's lots of visualization techniques that you can learn. So my suggestion is, hot foot it over there, hot foot it to Healing Hands Around the World, and see what you can find, see what you can discover. Okay, Chris.
That reminds me of something that went out in your newsletter, which I'm curious about. Maybe people can put in the chat room. So you've offered a lot of webinars, Rosemary.
Yes.
You've offered exercises. You've offered stories. You've offered Healing Hands Around the World. My question to all the people who are listening now and who will listen in the future is, when you read or participate in Rosemary's events or books, do you read for the entertainment, or are you actually using the information that you come across to make changes in your life? Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, that's an interesting question. We should maybe post that question and see what people come up with. But maybe some of you can answer that for us now. So are you, what is it? Are you simply reading or involved for the entertainment? Or are you actually looking to learn so that you can enrich your lives? Is that right, Chris?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. In the meantime, while we wait for some of you to respond to that, okay, Chris.
Monisha's asking, how does the concept of time work in the spirit world? How is it measured there? Do the people who have passed away experience time the same way we do?
Well, I think, Monisha, you might be new to us because it's only a couple of weeks ago that we talked about that very same thing. And so I'm going to suggest, at the risk of repeating myself, all of these shows, you can access them. You can access them on YouTube. You can access them on Facebook, I do believe, Chris. Or you can go to the website and figure out how to access that information. But if you go back, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks, that's all you need to go back, Monisha, and you'll find all of the answers, because I love that question and I think it's a very interesting question, and thank you for asking. But this morning, because we only addressed it a week or 2 ago, something like that, we shall let you do your own research. Am I being mean to you? I don't mean to be mean to you. But by the way, when you start to do your research, you come across all sorts of other things that are there that you might be interested in too. Chris?
They had continued with, just 2 days back, my departed brother-in-law, Nagesh, who passed away at the age of 20 last year, came in my dream, and we were discussing some random stuff. Can you please tell me if there's any message from him? Is he happy and at peace on the other side?
I can certainly give you a message from Grey Eagle. I think you know that it really was him who came to you in your dreams. I think you absolutely understand that he's with you. I'm so sorry for your loss. And, isn't it awful when we hear people who pass at such a young age? But Grey Eagle tells me that to let you know that he is fine, that he's doing well. Something about him, something about not being depressed or working on his, I'm not sure what that is. Just give me a second. See, this is why I don't like to do these things, like this, because they always take more time than I think anyway, and I want to get it correctly. I'm told, so I'm told that he's not depressed anymore. So I hope, Monisha, that helps you. And I hope you understand that message. So I think he's doing really fine. And I also am told, Greg tells me he's getting lots of help. So that's good to know also. Okay, Chris.
Patricia says, Dear Rosemary, I know that it sounds mad, but I actually had an angel heal me. He didn't have wings, by the way. It was a wonderful gift. Do you have any comments on that one?
Why would I think, my darling, that you sound mad? Because if you're crazy, oops, that makes me crazy too. I always say that the nicest people in the world are a little bit crazy. But in this, I do not believe that you're crazy at all. I would love to know a little bit more about it. But angels don't necessarily have wings, let me tell you, or they don't come to us in the form of, angels with wings and a halo and all the rest of it. So I'd be very, very interested to hear, the rest of that story if you care to share it with us. And I don't think you're crazy at all. I think it's absolutely fabulous and wonderful and phenomenal. Chris.
Carolyn says, thank you for reminding us to tune in at 11 a.m. to send healing prayers. I was just thinking of that before you came on. Chris gave me a suggestion to set an alarm on our phone.
Well, yes. Yes. Or just, make it, I think it's sort of like, an habitual thing. It's like, every morning we get up and the first thing we do is pee. Well, that's the first thing I do anyway. We actually, the first thing Reese does is turn on the TV. I think about it. Doesn't pee for ages. Anyway, so every day we have habits. We clean our teeth. We go to the bathroom. We make lunch. We make bread. Whatever it is. I think that with our healing prayers, if we sort of can just simply make it a habit, I think it will. You'll just eventually you'll do it without even thinking about it. You'll do it. However, when you are doing it, I would like you to put a little thought into it because every tiny little pulse of energy is a tiny, tiny pulse of. Every tiny thought is a tiny pulse of energy which goes out into the universe, and we want lots of little tiny pulses of energy that go out into the universe. We want that collective energy that works so well for all of us. Chris.
Gabriella's asking, what can we do when we feel internally alone, but in the real world are surrounded by people? That's how I feel these days.
Yeah. I know that feeling very well, being in a crowd of people and feeling completely isolated and feeling completely alone. And I know that many of you listening also know that feeling. The only thing I can suggest you do is when you're feeling so low, so down, so lonely inside and so alone inside, it's almost like there's nobody understands you. I remember being in a swimming pool once. I know, weird, right? But I remember being in a swimming pool that was absolutely jam packed with people, crowded everywhere. There were crowds everywhere, and I remember standing at one end of the swimming pool, just looking at everybody. People were laughing, people were having fun, people were swimming. It was just a really noisy, happy place. I'd never felt more alone. So when you feel that, the only thing I can suggest is that you have to remind yourself you're not alone. God is always with you, number one. Your loved ones in the spirit world are always with you, number two. And as my story of my Reese's puppy's birthday shows, even our pets surround us when we need them. Chris.
Robin says that Hurricane Ida passed by this past weekend and is wondering if you have a message of guidance for them.
Well, all we can do is send healing, and all we can do is do what I just said. It just, in those moments when you're feeling that, everything's going wrong, you're feeling so depressed, or you're feeling just, attitude is everything. And I know it may sound mean for me to say, you've got to work on your attitude. When you're allowing yourself to become depressed, trust me, I know what it feels like, and I've done it myself. I'm not criticizing people for allowing themselves to be in that situation. I've done it. I'm the best at it. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. So if I'm going to be depressed, I'm going to make sure I'm the most depressed I can possibly be. But at some point, you have to understand that it's pointless. You have to have a positive attitude. You have to grit your teeth and force yourself into thinking on the positive and working towards the positives of life rather than the negatives of life. And every one of us can do that. We just need perhaps a little bit of support or a little bit of encouragement from people, or even just I'm giving you lots of encouragement. You can all do this. Attitude is everything. So you choose in life. And this is really probably the only choice that we actually do have in life. We can choose to have a glass half empty, or we can choose to have a glass half full. I know some of you are saying it's easy for you to say, well, it isn't, because I've been there. And I have chosen from time to time to have a glass half empty because I felt depressed and unhappy or sorry for myself or whatever it is. But sooner or later, it'll lead you just down and down and down that dark tunnel to nowhere with no one, being so on your own and so lonely. At some point, you've got to start filling that glass up. I don't mean literally, by the way, but you know what I'm saying. At some point, you've got to start and look at the positives in life, no matter what has happened to you. And I know that many of you have had terrible and dreadful and awful things happen to them. No matter what has happened, you have got to try to say, what can I gain from this experience that is a positive? What will it teach me? What does it teach me? I've been hobbling about on my 1 foot for nearly 3 weeks now. I've fractured my foot. Now I know there's somebody out there who broke their leg who wrote in and told us that much worse than me. So many things that happen to people are much worse than a cracked foot, but I'm laughing about it. As much as I'm moaning and groaning and complaining that it hurts, I'm laughing about it, because if I don't laugh about it, and all the other things that are going on as well, put my shoulder out with the walking stick and bruised my side. You don't want me to go on, do you? No, you see, I'm not going to go on, because boy, oh boy, it's depressing when you go on about these things. So I have to tell you that I had to go to the dentist the other day. It was one of the most excruciating experiences, because I could hardly get in and out of the car. And I was trying to get out of the car, and the driver of the car just sat at his wheel watching me struggling. Fortunately, we were close to a bus stop, and a young man leapt up from his seat, came over, and he said, "Can I help you?" and helped me out of the car. I mean, I could go on about the driver who was in his own little world, ignoring me completely, or I can look at the young guy and to look at him, let me tell you, you would never have thought that he was much of a gentleman, but boy, oh boy, did he come up to scratch. Held my arm, helped me to the door. He was brilliant. So you've got to look at the positives. Try and see the positives at all times, no matter how hard it is. Chris?
That reminds me of 2 of your lessons or exercises. Obviously, the bottom bricks is very clear and present in my mind, that if people can do that exercise and go back to that founding moment. But then you've also got the exercise of the termite.
Oh, yes. Yes, people who have a termite mentality, we all know them, don't we? We all know that one person who can only ever complain and moan. And when I grew up with one, my mother had a termite mentality. They nibble and nibble and nibble away until they make sure that your happiness is just as lacking as theirs. They nibble away. They are troublemakers. They point out things that aren't right. Termite mentality. Yes, maybe we'll do a little exercise on termite mentality at some other point. Not today, but boy, oh boy, those termites. If you allow them to get into your mind, if you allow those termites to get into your head, you're sunk, because they'll destroy any kind of positivity that you have within you. Don't allow people that can only do to you what you allow them to do, and we don't allow termites into our lives, that's for sure. Chris?
So you have a number of comments about the people who did receive the newsletters. Carolyn's saying, great story in the newsletter. And all newsletters are great. Sharon says, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing. It gives us a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Sherry's saying she uses the information. We asked this question earlier. Absolutely, rather than just for entertainment purposes only.
Good.
Josephine says, good morning, Rosemary. Your top is such a beautiful color.
Oh, thank you.
How would you explain the way beauty moves our heart in an exceptionally uplifting way? Sometimes. I have understood it and feel it now as God reaching my heart with his/her heart of delight.
Well, first of all, Josephine, good morning to you too, my darling. Um, you know, you know what they say, that old adage, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it is so true. And just as an example, my puppy Karma, who I actually mentioned briefly in my story, he was so stinky, so smelly. I mean, he just couldn't help it. He was cross-eyed. He was the ugliest dog you've probably ever seen, because he couldn't help that he was cross-eyed, could he? And he had this sort of little pug nose, and it was smelly, and he'd walk towards you. You could smell him from a mile away. It didn't matter how many times you bathed him, it stank anyway. It sort of came. We had to keep his hair really, really, really short in order to stop that sort of whatever that smell was about. He had a skin disease. Let me go on. But he, to me, was the most beautiful darling. And every time I looked at him, I just saw that beautiful little thing that shone out of him, just that beauty. And people couldn't understand it, because I would cuddle him and tell him how beautiful he was, because it upset me when people would say in front of me and in front of him, gosh, what an ugly dog. And he was, in a way. But to me, it was beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and beauty of any kind, it makes our hearts sing. And if your heart does not sing with beauty, when you see beauty, it's because your heart is not open. So the more you open your heart, and the more you see the world as a beautiful place, and the more you see people, even if they're ugly on the outside, the more you are able to look at the beauty of them and to see the beauty of them, the more your heart will sing. That's all I can say to that. Chris.
All right, Ben is saying, good morning. I would like to ask Gray Eagle if he sees, after a long, difficult period, finally some economic well-being in our family. Thank you for the answer.
Ben, what do you want? Quick fix here? I can't give you the quick fix, my darling. However, as it happens, you addressed your question to Grey Eagle, which was very wise of you to do. And he has his hand on my shoulder. He's smiling at me. I'm smiling back. Apparently, let me explain what I'm seeing here. It's almost as if you're standing on the threshold of an open door, an opportunity. You seem a little nervous about stepping through this open door. It's not quite what you wanted. It's not quite what you expected. But if you don't try it, then there's nothing else, is there? So Gravel says, don't be afraid, just step through. Your world is slowly turning, and the sun is not going to shine quite yet, but it's getting there. So I feel that when you step through this door and you take this chance, you do something that you particularly maybe don't want to do, but you feel that you ought to do. I think it's going to work out. It's the first step in as you put it, in your financial well-being. But I'm more concerned about your emotional and spiritual well-being, and I think that is starting to shine through beautifully. Sometimes, we have to go through a really dark place in order to see the light within us. And Ben, I think that is what's happening to you, and I think you're slowly beginning to see that light within you shining brightly. And that will lead you the way. That will show you the way to finding all of that other stuff that you really feel is important to you. Of course, financial security and financial gain is important to all of us. We all have to pay the bills, don't we? So hold on to your heart, hold on to your spirit, hold on to that joy that you have within you, that you are a spiritual being. You're fine. You're not failing. I promise you, you're not failing in any way. You're doing really, really well. I think things are starting slowly to turn around. Chris.
Mary asks, when my mom Bernadette passed in 2019, My older sister and brother were very much affected. Does Mom or Gray Eagle have any advice for them?
Um, well, I have some advice, is to encourage them to listen to shows like this, to perhaps to suggest that they might read a book like The Eagle and the Rose. I'm not sure there is another book like The Eagle and the Rose, but I know that it inspires, and I know that it helps people who are bereaved or who are struggling with their loss. I know that The Eagle and the Rose is just that magical book that might help them. So I think that maybe you could either get the book for them. Some libraries do have it, or you can, if you email us, if you email Chris Kris at rosemaryaltea.com, she can tell you where to get the book from. It's not that expensive. That's what I would do. I would start by giving them the gift of The Eagle and the Rose, or something similar to that. I would encourage them to open their hearts to reading, and I think you'll find that that will start to help to heal them. Chris.
Olivia's asking, in the spirit world, is every spirit individual or more of a group consciousness? And how does their world work? I'm also wondering whether you do private one-on-one sessions online or by phone.
I do. That's the answer to your last question is I do consultations, and if you would like to know more one-on-one stuff about the one-on-one stuff, then you must email Chris, Kris, or if you forget, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com or Chris at rosemaryaltea.com, and ask for information about a consultation. And she will send you all of that information. Then you can decide whether you want to book an appointment or not. That's the first thing. Let me see. Collective consciousness. Are we individuals, or is it collective consciousness? Well, collective consciousness is not just something that happens in the spirit world. It's something that happens with us too, which is what we're doing when we do our collective thought process, that collective consciousness, when we send healing, our 11 a.m. hands around the world. So there is a collective consciousness that goes on, not just here on this earth, but in the spirit world as well. However, are we individuals? Of course we are. Absolutely. I see those in the spirit world remarkably, very often, with, in fact, more often than not, with the same personality that they had. You know, you get somebody who's got a strong personality or a loud personality. Boy, oh boy, you know, they make themselves known quite clearly as individuals. So I see people individually. I see people in the spirit world. Let me correct that. I see people in the spirit world as individuals. They are very much individuals. They all come with their own quirks. They all come with their own issues. They all come with their own agenda, and they come wanting to connect with their loved ones who are still here with them, and to let them know, hey, we see you, we hear you. As this show is called, The Spirit World Sees All, and they do. Chris.
All right, so Mark has sent us a little bit long, but I'll read it for you. Yesterday was my beloved fur daughter Gidget's Earth birthday. My first son, Gage, and I celebrated Gidget's rebirth into the spirit life. Gidget passed 2 days before her 13th birthday, so on both of her celebration days, I went and had photos made, set up a candle, and photo of her cremains, and a doggy treat she'd devour in a second. But Gage acted very sad. He had tears in his eyes, as I did too. I lifted him up and hugged him, and we went to her altar on my mantle, and we sang Happy Rebirthday to her. And I could see the emotion in his eyes. The same thing we did on September 1st. We sang, lit candles in her memory. I know she visits him. I know she loves us both. And I know that too, one day we will all be together. So thank you for sharing your story about Reese and all your beloved pets.
Mark, thank you for sharing that with us. We love these stories. Thank you so much. Chris.
All right. Monisha said, thank you for answering. It means a lot to me, and it gave me great joy to hear this message from my brother. And I'm curious to know, though, how do the departed people come in our dreams? Do they gain this power on the other side?
No, it's a question of um, sort of let's see. When we're in our sleep state, it happens very often. When we're in our sleep state, we can often our spirit, our etheric body, the spirit body, leaves our physical body, and we travel to that place where we have this meeting, this joint meeting. It's a wonderful thing. We perceive it when we remember that this is what's happened. We perceive it as a dream, and but it's actually a coming together or joining of two souls coming together, communicating, and just wanting to send love and hold each other and have a conversation with each other. This is what we do in our sleep state, in our dream state. We're able to travel, and sometimes we can travel just a little bit, sometimes we travel quite far. But this is how this, joining of souls happens. So I'm thrilled that your brother came to you, and I think it'll happen again and again. So, okay, keep going, Chris.
Sharon says, my brother hurled a lot of nasty words at me today, including saying, I'm psychotic and in a depression. I can't understand why he looks down on me. I've tried to be there for everyone. Sharon.
Who? Sharon.
Sharon.
Sharon, listen to me. You're looking at me, aren't you? Because I'm hoping I'm looking you right in the eye now. People can only do to you, my darling, what you allow them to do. He obviously has issues. They're not yours. Don't make them yours. If he can be so mean and so cruel and so, let's say it, so spiteful, then he has a lot of issues. You can't help him with them. They're his issues to deal with. They're his issues to sort out. Do not take it personally. It is not you that he's angry with. I think his anger comes from somewhere else, from somewhere deep within him. And I think he maybe just doesn't like himself very much. So as much as you might not like him in this moment in time, just understand he's not liking himself at all. People who yell, who scream, who hurl vicious insults, who are mean to us, it makes us feel like we're the ones who are inadequate. And maybe that's the reason why he's trying to do it. He's trying to make you feel inadequate so that he's not all by himself in feeling inadequate. He's the one with the issues, not you. Let it go. Do not take it personally. I know it's hard for you to not do that, but they're his problems. Don't make them yours. And stop trying to make things right. Just move on with your life. Get on with your life. He's his own responsibility. It's not yours. Chris.
Sandra says, 25 years ago, I was drawn to your book. I wasn't sure why, then continued following you. 15 years later, my young son transitioned to the other side in a horrid car accident. I think sometimes it was to get my soul ready for a massive hurt.
You mean finding the book was to get your soul ready? Yes. First of all, let me say, I think the worst loss has to be the loss of a child, especially if you're a mum or a dad. The worst loss must be the loss of a child. I don't think any of us can really, unless we've been through it ourselves, I don't think any of us can really understand the pain. I do hope that the book helped you. I do hope that it has inspired you, and I do hope that you understand that that boy is still with you, still around, and that I don't think he's ever been very far away from you, and I think you know that. So I'm really, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. My heart goes out to you. If you were close by, I'd just give you a big fat hug. No masks either. I'd just give you a big fat hug. That's what I would do. So I'm sending you a big fat hug. and I know that he's safe. You do too. I think you know. I know that he's safe. I know that he's well. But more importantly than ever, I think he's your guiding light. Chris.
Our dear friend Kitty, whom we haven't heard from in a while, is on.
Hi, Kitty. We've missed you.
She's saying, hope you are feeling better. And here's a question. She's asking for a friend, and she's saying, really? If our spouse is in heaven, but we had a good platonic relationship with someone else, can we choose to be with that friend instead of the spouse?
You can choose whatever you want to do. There are no rules that say that if your spouse has to be with you. There are no rules. We have choices. There's no rule that says, for instance, let's say your husband dies and he loved you to pieces. You loved him, but hey, you might want to be with somebody else, not necessarily in a loving relationship, but you might want to do something else or be somewhere else. He might choose to be in one part of the spirit world doing one thing. You might choose to do something else. It's all about choices. So, unless your friend, well, I don't know how to help your friend. Oh, that's all I can say. So it's all about choices. So if your friend is worried that he's going to choose somebody else over her, there's not a lot I can do about that. But if they had a good and a loving relationship, the chances are that they'd all be together. And if his friend, if this other friend, platonic or otherwise, loved him, she'd want the best for him too, right? So, there's no reason why we can't all be together and share together and just, it's like, yes, that's all I'm saying. I'm going to get myself into hot water here. That's all I'm saying, Kitty. I hope that helps. Chris.
Sherry says, can I ask of you and Gray Eagle how my procedure will come out, and will I have to have more medical work done?
I'm asking Gray Eagle this. You'll be fine. You will have to have a little bit more. As I'm saying this, I'm seeing this incredible light come around you. So I feel that you're very, very protected, and that you've got your angels keeping you safe. So if you need any more from me, just email us, let us know. Chris.
Carolyn would like you to speak on the benefits of mantras, and is it best to have just one to say 10 times, 3 times a day?
Who is this who's asking this, Carol?
Carolyn.
Carolyn. Right, Carolyn. Well, as many of you will know, I really do feel that the benefits of a mantra are amazing. Again, we've talked about thought process, tiny pulses of energy that go out into the universe. When they go out into the universe, they collect like energy, and they reach whoever it is, or even if it's just going out into the universe, they always return back to us. And a mantra is a series of thoughts, of powerful energy that we put out there, a series of words of power, a sequence of words of power. Words of power are you ready? So there are some of them here. I is a power word. Will, can, shall. They're all power words. Can't, won't, shan't, no, power word. Although you can use no as, no, I am not going to let this get me down. Or you can say, no, I don't want any help. Equally power words. And the same goes for yes. So power words are very positive, and every mantra should have at least 1 or 2 power words in that 1 to 2 sentences. I can be happy, and I will lift my face to the sun. Will, can, will. So, and you say whatever mantra you choose, you repeat 10 times over, 3 times a day. It will work. I think, did I answer the question? I think so.
Yes. All right. Wendy has a question. Hi, Rosemary. Does Gray Eagle have any message for me since I lost my two kids? First one in 2016 and the second one on June 14th of this year. I have been struggling on trying the vision that you mentioned in your second book.
Who is this again?
This is Wendy.
Wendy, okay. I'd like to hear a little bit more of your story. Maybe you could email us and tell us your story a little bit. When you work on visualization, which I think is what you're talking about now, when you're working on visualization and visualization techniques, they're a wonderful healing technique. What I'm going to suggest that you do, my darling, is to sit and I'm suggesting this to anybody out there who would like to become more aware, more spiritually aware. I know that you'd like to become more spiritually aware of your kids. Spend 10 minutes every day. Find a quiet place. Switch off your cell phones. Switch off your computers. Don't switch off the television. Switch off every mechanical device that you have. Don't let anything disturb you. You want to find a nice quiet place, a comfortable chair to sit in, whatever it is, and just spend 10 minutes of every single day. You're not looking for messages. You're not looking, you're not going to say, if you're there, give me a sign. You're not going to do any of that. You're not going to ask for anything. You sit in a chair and you say quietly to, in this case, your kids, to your loved ones in the spirit world, this is, here I am. I'm here for you. I'm spending 10 minutes with you today. I don't want anything from you. I just want you to know that I love you enough to spend this 10 minutes with you, and I'm sending my love and sending my energy out to you. And then you shut up and you don't say another word, and you pay attention and you listen and you look, you watch. It might take a day, it might take an hour, it might take a week, might take a month, might take a year. I promise you this, if you do this exercise every day for 10 minutes every day, you're not asking for anything. You're keeping your mind open to whatever might be out there. What you're doing is you're giving them a chance to come around you. You're giving yourself a chance to notice them. You're shutting out the world. You're shutting off all of those devices. You're giving yourself and you're giving your loved ones in the spirit world the chance to be together. So you are opening yourself up. And then just pay attention. You might just see a shadow, or you might see a light off in the corner of your eye or something. You might feel fingers brush your cheek. You might just sense them around you. You might feel the back of your neck prickling. You might feel your scalp itching a little bit in lots of different ways. Or you might just have that sense of smell. Or it might be that you might have a sense of taste, maybe of the chocolate ice cream that they might have loved, or maybe, something even more that they love that you know that they like to eat. In one way or another, they will use your senses, your 5 senses. And when you sit like this and you listen and you pay attention, I promise you, if you are patient, it will happen that you will have them come around you, that you will in one way or another sense them. But it has to be consistent. You have to do it daily. It has to be something that you get used to. And it has to be something that is purely and absolutely not for your needs, but allowing them the opportunity, because they need to let you know that they're around you. They need to know that you know that they are with you. So it's not about you saying to them, give me a sign, show me, just give me a little glimpse, give me an idea that you're there, give me. It's not about that. It's about you opening up and allowing them the opportunity to connect with you. Because that's all that anyone in the spirit world wants from us. They want us to give them the opportunity. You know, when people come to me for consultations or when they come to our webinars, they're coming because they want something. When I'm connecting with the spirit world, I'm connecting with them because they need something. They need to connect with us. They need the opportunity. They need to be given the opportunity to connect with us. And so every time we try to connect with them, we are allowing them the opportunity to connect with us. Darling, your children want the opportunity to connect with you. Sit quietly for 10 minutes every day and give them that opportunity. And don't get frustrated if it doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. And don't get anxious. Just give them the opportunity. It's got to be something that you have to do 10 minutes of every day and be patient about it. Let us know how you get on with that exercise, why don't you? I think it might work. Chris?
All right, we're getting near the end of the time here. Olivia's asking, I'm wondering whether my departed parents are together and aware of my very changed life now.
I'm laughing because Craig is saying that you might not expect them to be together, but they do come together from time to time. They are very much aware of you. They're very, very much aware of what is going on with you. I can't say more of that because we don't have more time than that, but they are very, very much aware. And for all of you out there who are wondering, are my loved ones in the spirit world? Do they see me? Do they notice me? Are they aware of me? Yes. They are the spirit world. Remember, that's the name of the show. The spirit world sees all. So yes, they are very much aware of what you're doing. And you know, for all of you out there, you get frustrated. You want a message. I just talked about. You have to give them the opportunity. So you either come to one of the webinars, not necessarily mine, but we do our webinars. We've had now 2 or 3 webinars where we've done nothing but for 3 hours talk to the spirit world, and the spirit world have been given the opportunity to talk to those who have joined the webinar. They've been given the opportunity to give messages and so on, and it's an amazing thing. And even for those who have come to the webinar who didn't get a message, they get messages just by listening and being amazed at how clear and precise the messages are that are being given from the spirit world. You can't, you know, if you look, if you want to go out and if you want to buy a new pair of shoes, I suppose you can order online. Go ahead and do it. But you've got to do something in order to get them, whether it's to go online and click on that and put them in the cart and all the rest of it. You've got to do something in order to get the shoes. If you want to have a meal, if you want food, you could get someone to bring it in for you, but you've still got to ask someone. You've still got to take an action, is my point. And if you want something from the spirit world, if you want messages or you want confirmation from your loved ones in the spirit world, you have to take an action. So you join webinars, or you come to shows like this, or you make an appointment to book a consultation either with me or with somebody else you might know. But you've got to take an action, because the little that we can do, the little bit of information that we can give you here on this show, you know, we've got lots of people and lots of people want something. And what we're doing here is giving you the tiniest little taste of what the spirit world is all about. Chris?
All right, 2 more comments. Wendy responded saying, thank you so much. I think I know a perfect place. My memorial tree, I have a chair next to it. I will try that. And of course, no mechanism stuff. Again, I want to thank you.
You're very welcome, my darling. Please tell us how you get on. We really do want to know.
All right. Scroll back up here again. Rhonda said, Gray Eagle gave me a wonderful mantra. Build your fire. Like a phoenix, you can rise. She loves the power words.
Yes, don't we all?
And I think that's it
How
for
nice.
today, Rosemary.
I love that. I love that mantra. I hope you're using it, Rhonda. I do believe that you are using it every day, 3 times a day, though, you know. So, all right, well, that's it for today. It's been, do you feel this has been a very calm and a very, very tranquil show this morning? Chris, what do you think?
Yes, every week there's a different energy to these
Yeah,
depending on who has joined us.
yes. And I love it. So thank you all so very much for joining us. Chris, I'd like to say thank you to you as always because you do such a great job. Especially like to thank Great Evil because boy oh boy, there's what would we do without it? I'd like to say thank you to all of you once again for joining us. There will be no story time this coming Saturday because what is that from? The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Yes, well, because it's a holiday, because it's a vacation, because Chris is going on a very, very special holiday. And just to let you know that Mike will be with you every step of the way. He's chuckling in the background here. You didn't expect that, Chris, did you? Anyway,
Love it.
so there will be no story time. There will be, however, next Thursday we will be doing another The Spirit World Sees All, and what else? We will be trying to do some off the cuffs as well. It's been a bit tricky. It's not Chris's fault that we've not been doing off the cuffs. It's been totally my fault because lots of things are getting in the way. But we will be doing more off the cuff stuff, and hopefully we'll be doing more off the cuff stuff in the next few days. So until I see you all again, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day, everybody, and have a very blessed, for those of you who are having a holiday, a wonderful holiday, have a very blessed rest of the weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.